Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting, wonderful episode of MomCave Live.
Hello.
Yay.
Hello. Valisa, are you in the bathroom again?
I am in the bathroom. Just to let everybody know, there's our tub
It's a nice
and
talk.
our shower. I'm in the bathroom.
Dirty during this.
My kids are trying to go to sleep.
Okay. Our guest this week is Stephanie, who's known as the Veeg Mama. Hey, Stephanie.
Hi there. Thanks for having me, ladies.
You are totally welcome, and you're joining us from the left coast, so it's a different time of day for you.
Yes.
Right.
They're still awake.
You still have hours to go before bedtime.
I still got dinner time and all that to take care of.
Oh, we don't envy you that. But so Stephanie just released a new ebook that is called Veeg Mama's Guide to Going Vegan. Is that correct?
Right, you got it. Perfect.
Perfect. And I have to admit here, for full disclosure, people, I'm the furthest thing from a vegan. As I'm sure some of our viewers are. But the important thing is that kids need to eat their vegetables, right? And they seem to have a problem with that. Valisa, how are your girls with their vegetables?
They're pretty good with their vegetables. They really like broccoli and zucchini and peas. Not so much spinach. I didn't really like spinach when I was little either, but I loved broccoli when I was little. And Zoe, my oldest, is getting into salad, so it's good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we thought we would talk a little bit about how to get them to eat their vegetables and at different ages and stuff like that. So maybe if you want to start out, Stephanie, what's your number one tip?
My number one tip is, no matter what age they are, is to make it fun and interactive. Because when it's interactive and they're part of the action and they're part of the decision making, I find that it's so much easier to get them to eat vegetables. So some things that I like to do is I like to make meals, and this actually works for people who have maybe mixed families, where people who are big meat eaters and people who are not, like in my house, my kids are not, my husband are not vegan. So we'll do what's called mixed meals. And so stuff like tacos, sushi rolls, noodle bowls, pitas, where we'll have bowls of different fillings in the middle of the table with a bunch of different veggies, you know, carrots, cucumbers, whatever, spinach leaves, all these different things that they can choose from. And then they can pick what they want and make their own taco, what have you, noodle bowl, etc. It's really fun for them, and it's interactive. And I have a rule. So I'll say you have to pick two. So it's one that you know you like, but then they have to try something new that maybe they don't know if they like yet, or maybe something they're scared of. So it always gets them to try something as well, and it's a way to constantly be introducing new tastes to that, you know, tastes and veggies to them. So that's my biggest tip, is the fun and interactive, no matter what age they are. I feel like it was so much easier to get my kids to eat their vegetables when they were toddlers. They would eat anything. And now it's like so challenging. You would think I would have the poster children for eating their vegetables, but I have like the worst husband and kids for that. I really do. Like, they are not, they're picky about what vegetables they like, you know? And so yeah, I really have to try hard to make it fun and interactive is a great way.
It's funny because I think that when they're first learning to eat, you know, they're first trying solid foods, they haven't tried that many things. So, like, they love the sweet potatoes. They love the vegetables that you give them. It's just as they get older and wiser and they have tasted a McDonald's Happy Meal, then we're in trouble. Because
yeah, exactly.
It's so funny, like, as they get older, they realize that green is something to be afraid of. Like, I don't want to eat that. It's green.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? You know?
I hear it from other children.
Yeah.
It's true. You know what? You're right. so I juice every morning. I do a green juice, and when I first went, well, actually, I've been juicing about 2 years now. I've been vegan 5 years, and that's my like morning rituals. I have make a green juice. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get my kids to get their vegetables that way. It's gonna be so easy because it tastes so delicious. Well, I couldn't make it green. Like they looked at that thing and they were like, there is no way I'm drinking that. Yeah. So as I call it, the red juice instead.
Yeah.
And I put like a little bit of strawberries and I added orange, but I included all the same green vegetables I was already doing, but I had to figure out a color scheme that like what fruits can I add to make it not look green? And then it was like, oh, mommy, this is delicious. I was like, oh.
Color is a great thing to talk about with vegetables. When my son was really little and he was first learning his colors, like each day I would say, today is purple day or today is blue day. And then when we would go to the store, we would try to pick out a food that color. And he really liked the idea of that. He likes being given the power of choosing something.
Yes. That is, I think that is such a great tip, is giving them some control over what they're eating. Like that's why I like the pick two or those meals where you can have many different options, because when you give them the power, it seems almost to like lessen the burden on them a little bit. Right.
And you're not actually giving them the power, mind you. They just think you are.
Exactly.
It's all a mind trick. Yeah. Like, speaking of tricks, I'm sure you're familiar with Jessica Seinfeld's book. I forget the title. Where it's basically, for you people who haven't read it, it's a cookbook about how to fool your kids into eating veggies. So she makes these purees of vegetables and puts them into other recipes, and the kids don't know there are vegetables there. I have some mixed feelings about that. What do you think, Stephanie?
Yeah, I am not a fan of fooling my kids, just because so much of being vegan is educating them about why I'm choosing the vegetable over the animal, or why I'm choosing to eat, you can be a junk food vegan too and eat Oreos and French fries. So it's like why I'm choosing to eat whatever I eat over another. So I feel like if you're fooling them, you're not really setting them up to succeed and feel great about vegetables. Now my husband, on the other hand, I don't have any problems with fooling him. Like he's like, don't tell me what it is, just feed it to me. But with my kids, I feel like, they're smart. They're smart little beings, and they can take the information. So I think when we hide it, it's just doing a disservice to everyone. Now, I might do something where, like, for example, I made a sauce, like a cream sauce, and it had cauliflower and cashews as the base. And my kids know that they're going to be eating vegan food at dinner. But they might look at that and say, well, what is that? What's in there? And I might wait till they try it until I tell them what's in it. I said, well, try it first and see if you can tell me. What does it taste like? And then after they've tried a bite and they'll say, oh, that's good, or oh, thumbs in the middle, thumbs up, thumbs down. I'll say, okay, this is what's in it. So I might not tell them right away because it might turn them off, but I'm all about full disclosure.
Yeah, I think if they've been tricked into eating vegetables their whole life and they didn't know that's what was happening, then they're going to grow up and not eat vegetables on purpose.
Yeah, they might not choose it for themselves, realizing that they love broccoli or spinach, that, just because mom was always sneaking it in. So.
Yeah. Valisa, do you have any good tactics?
Well, Zoe and Mia used to really be into the show Yo Gabba Gabba, and there was an episode where Broby didn't know if he liked something before he tried it, and they had a whole song, "Try it, you'll like it."
Yes!
So he finally tried it, and he said, "Oh my gosh, I like it." And so that was the case for Mia with Brussels sprouts, and Zoe liked them right away, but Mia is very hesitant in trying new things, and so I said, well, Mia, I remember Broby didn't like something before he tried it, and he passed judgment on this before he even tasted it, so you should try it. And so she finally took a bite, and she's like, I like it! And I'm like, just like Broby.
That's great. Then you can replay the video anytime they don't want to try something.
Exactly.
Valisa and I both live in New York City, so we don't own any outdoor space. But in the summers, my family spends a lot of time in the country at my in-laws' house, and my mother-in-law, she gardens, and she made a little corner of the garden, and they made a little sign that said Henry's Garden. And so whenever he would go, he would tend to his part of the garden, and it was amazing. Like, he really wanted to eat those vegetables. He wanted to show them off.
That's great.
Great idea. Great. I don't know if you guys have this in your school, but in our school district, we have a garden program, and I've seen the same effects where actually today my son came home saying, Mommy, we had garden today, and he'll bring me home vegetables. This is really good. You got to try it. And it's so great that they're reinforcing that at school. And I live in the beach area where there's not a lot of backyard space, but we have like a little container garden. And I've kind of been remiss in keeping it going lately, I have to be honest. But when we were keeping it going, I mean, we were growing like Japanese eggplant, which is kind of scary looking for even an adult, scary for my husband. But my kids were so excited to try it. And peppers, we had red peppers and stuff that they might not normally try, but because it was growing in our little container space, they were like, oh, let me pick that off. And so that really is a great suggestion. I love that.
That is great.
Yeah. Things like peppers are easier to get them to try, I think, if you give them dips. I don't know. Kids love dips.
Yeah.
Dips are great. And yet it's fun. It's interactive, right? So just anything you can do like that. Making like little vegetable sandwiches, like giving them veggie, sliced cucumbers, you can julienne carrots or whatever that they could stack and make a veggie sandwich even, and put some, hummus in between it or whatever. If you did apples and, nut butters, those are all fun ways to get kids to eat snacks that are healthy.
Yeah. Did you guys grow up eating healthy, or did it happen as you got older?
Look at Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We were the household that all of our friends wanted to come to our place after school because we were allowed to have free reign in the kitchen and make whatever we wanted as an after-school snack. And we had a stocked refrigerator and cupboards with, sugar cereals, popsicles, fudgesicles, ice cream sandwiches, like all the junk stuff. But we also had healthy stuff. And so my friend who grew up with none of that sugar, once she got to college, just like went nuts on sugar. And I think, you can have an adverse effect on someone who is held back as a child, never given sugar, and then once they are alone as an adult in college, might go nuts, which I always had it, and so I didn't go nuts. So it's just learning how to eat healthy and be healthy, exercising and eating well, but also you get to have sweets and whatnot, and you just learn how to, eat well.
You deny yourself. How about you, Stephanie?
I was kind of similar. I had my mom was a great cook and baker, and so I never was deprived of sweets, that's for sure. In fact, me and my twin developed an allergy to chocolate one year at Easter time.
Oh my God.
Chocolate. Can you imagine being allergic to chocolate? Thankfully,
that's horrible.
We got over it, but we grew up where I never felt deprived. We had, chips in our lunch and all that kind of stuff, but we had healthy stuff too. I think it wasn't until college though that I learned, I got to cook for myself and what's a healthy portion size, and that it's like the portion size was, I think, something that was a big learning curve when I went away to school, because I think too in college your body's changing and your metabolism and all that, and so I could pretty much eat whatever I wanted up until then without really noticing any effects, because you're so active and everything. So I think the portion size is important to teach the kids early.
Yeah. But speaking of that, do you guys have the rule that they have to finish everything on their plate?
I don't. I talk about how does your tummy feel? What does your tummy say? Especially with my 5-year-old. My girls are really good at self-regulating now. They know, even with sweets, they don't eat the whole thing. My 8-year-old will say, Mommy, I'm done. She doesn't have to eat the whole thing. But my 5-year-old, he's still learning that, but he's been really great. He'll say, Mommy, my tummy's hurting. And he might not have eaten even half his food, but I said, okay, if your tummy's telling you you're done, because I never want them to feel like I don't know. Maybe it's just like the worrisome mom. I'm like afraid they'll develop an eating disorder if I'm like forcing them to eat their food, and then and then they're gonna get sick. I don't know. So I never try to force them.
Yeah, I can't take. Go ahead, Valisa.
I always serve really small portions to begin with, and then if they want more, they can have more. Like I don't. I grew up having to finish our plates, but I always finish my plates because I was always a big eater. But my kids are pretty good about finishing, and the problem that we developed though early on is giving them dessert every night, and we would threaten them if they didn't finish their food, they were not going to get dessert. And so then we realized, like, why are we giving dessert every night? Like, that's not good. I didn't grow up like having dessert every night. It was just like a weekend thing. So now we've scaled back, and it's just you just have to finish your meal, and there's no like prize at the end. Like there's no dessert every night. It's like every other night or special occasions.
The dessert thing is a slippery slope. We have the same problem. So I try to make the dessert as tiny as possible. And if think of it, make it like strawberries with chocolate or something. But I can't take credit for this idea because I read it in a book, but I recently started a new thing that's working pretty well. I give my son really, like you, Valisa, really small portions of whatever we're having. It could be like some meat, some vegetables. And the rule is that he can have seconds of whatever he wants when he finishes that portion. Yeah. So it forces him to eat both things on the plate, and then he can get more. Because I found that before he would just eat the thing he liked and then ask for more. And that wasn't working at all.
Yeah, that's another thing. Our girls would fill up on juice or whatever they were drinking along with the meal. And so for like when they were really little, like 2 and 4, we would have them start eating first and then give them the juice when they're almost done with their meal, because they fill up on juice and they're like, I'm not hungry anymore. It's like, well, because you drank all that juice.
That's a good tactic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're almost out of time, but our giveaway this week is a copy of Stephanie's ebook. It's an ebook, so she can't sign it, but maybe you'll send the email to someone. Yeah. You can enter in the link below the video on our blog. There's the giveaway. And, yeah, that was awesome. We have a lot of little tricks to do with the kids.
Yeah, and the book has more of those kinds of ideas, too, and recipes that have been tested with my family. So they're family non-vegan, family-friendly, too.
Perfect. We should get together and make some on our video sometime.
Oh, that would be fun. I love to cook whenever you want.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Good night, everybody.